And welcome everyone. It's WoW 35. And it's so amazing to know that we've been recording for this long and had this many shows. And I just want to thank everyone for coming today, for taking yourself and making it a priority, because we know that we all live in busy land. And I always hear, and when I used to coach individuals, it was like, oh, I don't have time for this and I don't have time for that. But I'll tell you, you make time for the things that are the most important to you. And your health is very important, because it's a great saying that says that in our youth, we sacrifice our health to gain our wealth. But when we get older, we have to spend that wealth to regain our health. So the buck stops here. Let's just say today is the day, or some of you have said this already, but draw a line in the sand and don't look back. My mantra is I don't do anything that is bad for my body. And here's a funny story for you. This last weekend, we had a big party for Serbian Easter, and my mother-in-law baked like all these beautiful treats. And I love them, but they don't love me back. And so I just was like, nope, I'm not going to have any. And I was so proud of myself and so happy to make that decision, because I know how my body reacts to sugar. I see it by my heart rate, because this ring right here will tell me what my resting heart rate is. And usually at night when I'm sleeping, it's in the high 40s or the low 50s. But if I have stuff that's bad for my body, it can go up to like 65. And that's the lowest point. So that's how I know how my body reacts to things. And I remember years and years ago, David Asprey, who has that company called Bulletproof, he had an app where he would have people track their own food sensitivities based on their heart rate and what that food did to their heart. So if it was a healthy food for them, and remember, we're bio-individual, so it's everybody's has their own unique signature when it comes to food. But if it was healthy for them, their blood or their heart rate wouldn't spike. But if it was unhealthy, the heart rate spikes, because it's like, oh gosh, get that out of me. You know, it's like it was in a stress situation. So we learn all about that from Key, that you go into a sympathetic, stressful, cortisol secreting situation. Okay. I love how I go down all these rabbit holes. I never know what I'm going to say. Anyways, so that's what WOW is all about, you guys, is helping you create healthy habits, layering them one at a time, because it has been demonstrated over and over that your lifestyle changes support the QT wave. And another important distinction is, after our blessed event that we are all looking forward to, it's going to maintain your results easier. Okay. If you keep doing what you've been doing, you're going to keep getting what you've been getting. And so we want to just be cognizant and mindful of all the choices that we make, all the thoughts that we think, all the words that we say. It's just slowing down, going into your heart, and leading with love for yourself and for others. Okay. So always loving yourself first. So with that, I'm going to do a public service announcement. I have recorded 260, what are they called? Hug videos. Almost forgot. That is a year's worth at 5 days a week. And Cynthia was disappointed that they weren't getting more visibility. So we are going to launch next week a fun little playful, I'm going to use Christine's word, expedition on hug videos, and how they're going to be more of a challenge for you each day, Monday through Friday, so that you can actually take these and sink them into your heart. And I want a big shout out to Linda for helping me with this. She doesn't even know what it is yet, but she already started helping me. So it's going to be a game and it's going to be fun. And we start next Monday. So that's my little announcement. So is anybody brand new to WOW? No? Okay. Well, then I want to hear from you. Who here has something they would like to share that they've incorporated into their life, say within the last month or so, that they've noticed, use your words, Tracy, has impacted your health positively? We've had so many great speakers, and we love hearing your stories about what you have incorporated. I did get a message on Telegram for somebody who can't be here today. She always listens to the replays, but she actually ordered a sauna like Darlene has with the ozone. And so she's really excited because she was able to get that. But if you weren't here last week, I did share a way to jerry rig a really inexpensive way to do an ozone sauna. So you can still get that benefit, not ozone, just a regular near infrared sauna. So you can get that benefit of the sweating and of the infrared frequency, or I guess it's light that, well, light's frequency. So I don't know what you call it, but near infrared. So you can get the benefit of the sweating as well as the lights, which can be anti-inflammatory and have a lot of different health benefits. So if you missed last week, please go check that out so you can create your own. That's what I did before my husband didn't even know I bought one, but before I got my sauna. So he was like, you're not going to spend money on that. And then one day it just showed up. So that's all good, but I want to hear from you. So who can share something with the listeners to encourage them to develop healthy habits? All right, Cheryl, go for it.
I'm just going to jump in that I started doing chair yoga 3 times a week, and wonderful class that I just feel like is so beneficial. And, I do walk my dog and go to the park nearly every day. So it's augmenting for that too. But I've been very happy with that. And I'm also trying to do my structured water with the little whipper I have. And I guess I have a question. Is there a length of time you need to do that to make it structured, or just so that it gets a lot of bubbles in it? Do you have a sense of that?
Okay, so you know what I do is I count to 12 slowly. And I use 12. This is kind of weird, but 12, 1 plus 2 is 3, which is a Tesla frequency. So that's why I do 12. So
Great.
yeah, I just count to 12 slowly, but it creates that like whirlpool spiral. So I'm sure that's just plenty.
Right. I love that. The other thing, I just wanted to thank you for your dressing recipe. It's awesome.
Oh, the one with the nutritional yeast?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. That is so yummy.
I hope you'll incorporate. I think one of my other requests would be, since it sounds like you're a salad queen, if you'll share some of your favorite salad recipes with us, those of us that are vegetarians.
Okay, I can do that. Let me write that note down. Salad recipes. You want to hear something funny? So I used to have a show a long, long, long time ago that I did called Salad and Wine, because I used to love wine and I live in wine country. I mean, literally, there's a winery right in adjacent in front of our property. There's another one kitty corner behind us. I live on the wine trail. But remember, I was talking about my heart rate. My heart does not love wine, so I stopped wine. Occasionally I'll have it, but very seldom. So, but I had that show, so I'll pull some of those recipes out and send them over, Cheryl, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, Linda M.
I've done a lot of changes in my life, but the most recent one was when Dr. Gloria mentioned rolling a blanket and putting under your knees at night, because I'm a back sleeper and I was having a lot of hip pain at night. So I just rolled a blanket and put some yarn around each side so it would stay that way. And it's kind of silky, so it doesn't move unless unless I actually bend down and move it. And that is so helpful, and it's helped me to rest better. And I want to thank her also for the recipe for the sesame noodles. I made that really quick yesterday and it turned out great.
Oh, cool. Good for you. Yeah,
Great.
that sesame flavor is so good. And
It is.
that's in that dressing that Cheryl mentioned. It's made with, it uses tahini and sesame oil, and that is good for fish and chicken and, salad, crudité, anything. So,
I made it with rice noodles.
oh, cool.
Yeah.
I gotta try that with one of my palmini noodles or
It's really
zoodle.
good on zoodles too, Tracy.
Yeah, I'll do zoodle.
Yeah,
That's-
zoodles are really good with it. Yeah, the sesame oil penetrates differently into the zucchini, so it makes it really nice. It's almost like you bite the zucchini and then you all of a sudden get a little bit of that in the middle. I don't know how to describe it, but try it. It's really good.
Oh, you're making my mouth
Yeah.
water. It sounds delicious. I'm a foodie, just in case anybody knows. I love to cook. I love to eat. I eat a lot. That's one of the benefits of exercising so much is I get to eat more. Okay, let's
Did
get
we have-
going. So today you guys are in for a treat. Well, kinda. You might be shocked. Gloria has to share with you, but I know you guys know who she is. She doesn't need a big introduction, but the
No.
research this woman has done in her life, the stuff that she does with her patients, and she's still, you guys, she works full-time for QHS and full-time for her own practice. She's the Energizer Bunny, doesn't sleep at all. So that's not a good thing, by the way. Just
No.
saying. But she has done some research for us that she told me some things today, and I was like, oh, goodness gracious. But here's the thing. We don't know what we don't know. But knowledge is power. And if we've learned anything over the last 4 years, we need to do our own digging. Okay. And she's lucky enough that she's done digging for us. So, Dr. Gloria, what's our topic for today?
Well, it's really chemical cuisine. I wrote a book many years ago. It's not in print anymore, called Chemical Cuisine. Do you really know what you're eating? And today I'm going to do a little different slant on that, even though that's what the PowerPoint is titled, because I don't believe most of you have heard the term. If you have, raise your hand. Metabolic modifiers. Do you know what that means? It's a term used in Europe a lot, especially in the UK, in Germany, and some of the medical schools. Metabolic modifiers. Have any of you heard of it? Put your hand up if you have. Yeah, I figured Linda had. Okay. What that means is it's not just avoiding like food that ignites inflammation, like we talk about so much, the nightshades, the MSGs, any of the food preservatives and enhancers. It's not enough to do that. It's important that we also understand what other consequences do all of these chemicals that are not from nature having on our body. And that is a metabolic modifier. Now, the doctor that didn't invent it, but the doctor that discovered it and started teaching it in medical schools, I ran across when I was in England, and it's Dr. Hamilton, and she is a medical doctor specialist in human metabolism from the University of Oxford. I mean, this woman is amazing. And she ended up changing her entire practice and teaching at the university. Instead of just doing nutrition courses, she started teaching people, just like Tracy just said, without her realizing that she just validated that when your body cannot tolerate something, it's not natural to it, it's toxic to it. Yes, the heart rate goes up, but on top of that, you end up with what we call chemically induced immune system disorders, which is what I had. My throat would close, an anaphylactic reaction several times a day because my liver had shut down. We're going to do a liver discussion at the end of the month too, liver and gallbladder. But the point is that your liver is your filtering system. It's your chemical processing plant. And the liver is going to respond just like your heart rate responds, saying, this isn't good for you. Get this away from me. So it modifies the metabolism, the entire biological structure of your body. So what does it do? Let's go into the PowerPoint, Tracy, and then I'll talk with that so that we can, my eyes are so blurred. I apologize. They've been really bad lately. That if I don't have the PowerPoint in front of me, I can't see it. Okay, so
hold on, I gotta,
here's,
what
you
do
got
I
it, perfect.
put it on so it goes to full screen?
I think it says full screen. Let me look. There's a place that
slide.
says full screen. Where is it?
I think it's play from start. There we go.
Yeah,
Okay.
there you go. Okay, so chemical cuisine, which is what I taught. I taught a whole course to doctors and to nutritionists and to rejuvenist practitioners on this, is really understanding, look at that plate setting. Look at all the things that we're putting into our body that are not nature made. Go to the next one for a minute. Here is what metabolic modifiers affect. Look at that. They change how your body reacts to everything. They cause weight gain. So you know how we've heard and we know scientifically that artificial sweeteners, you know, when they first came out, I remember in the 60s when the artificial sweeteners, saccharin came out. My grandmother that raised me was a diabetic. She was also a midwife and an herbalist. But she thought it was the greatest thing since sliced bread because she was diabetic and she had a sweet tooth like I do. So she had this very proudly displayed the bottle of saccharin on the kitchen table, and we all used it. Of course, I had migraines. I had all kinds of other issues. Now realizing that that was probably one of the contributing factors. I didn't have weight gain, but I had all the other issues. But artificial sweeteners of any kind, I'm not talking about stevia, which is a plant. I'm not talking about monk fruit, which is a gourd. I'm talking about any kind of artificial sweetener. And you're better off having sugar, not that I'm promoting it because it's so detrimental to our health overall, but you're better off having sugar than having any kind of an artificial sweetener because it's meant for you to crave more. That's why they made them to begin with. And if you don't believe that, do your research. It's really scary.
So
They're
Gloria,
also,
slow
yeah,
down real quick, okay? So why don't you tell them what things are considered to be artificial sweeteners?
well, all of the aspartames, all of the NutraSweets, all of the packages in pink and in blue and in green, they are all artificial sweeteners. The
Yellow.
only thing that is not yellow, yes, is the stevias, any kind of stevia, whether it's raw stevia, powdered, liquid, and the monk fruit, which is a gourd. It grows on a tree like a gourd, and it's ground up and it's very, very sweet. Those are the only things that are natural. Now, to expand upon that, agave syrup is natural. Honey is natural. But if you have a blood sugar issue, or if you have a candida fungal issue, it's going to feed it. I use honey when I can, but I can't use a lot of it because it spikes my blood sugar. So those are not artificial as long as they're raw, unprocessed honey, for instance, and raw organic agave. I love agave syrup. It's used a lot in Latin America, but it is a sugar. It's a natural sugar. It's not synthetic. It's only the stuff in packages and all of the newest. There's a new one out that I can't think of it now that is represented as, you know, now it's an amino acid, but it's still a sugar. It's
Glycine?
artificial.
Is it
Pardon?
glycine?
No,
Glycine
there's
acid with a sweet taste, but the one that I don't like is erythritol, which is sugar alcohol, which causes
right.
a lot of GI distress.
Terrible GI distress. Tracy and I have discussed this. I mean, I double over with cramps when I have anything with that. So be very careful. A lot of things that say sugar-free, naturally sweetened, they're sweetening it with that erythritol alcohol, and then you start getting this stomach ache and lower GI, and you don't know why. So the artificial sugars are anything that I just mentioned in the packages, anything that comes out. If it comes out as a new fandangle, new, no calorie sweetener, beware. It's synthetic, and do your research on it. Now, the other thing that chemicals do is they're neurotoxins. So neurotoxins, and I've talked a little bit about this in the past, are not like you take a shotgun and you shoot your brain. Okay, it's a neurotoxin. They stimulate the brain cells to death, like putting them into a food processor or a blender. Can you imagine? And of course, Dr. Russell Blaylock has written many books. He's a phenomenal researcher, scientist, neuroscientist, and a medical doctor. And he's written about the neurotoxins and how these artificial sweeteners and all of the food additives and preservatives and chemicals are killing brain cells. Our IQ scientifically is proven to have decreased in the latest generations because of all of the fast food and synthetic chemicals. Now, what else does it do? It causes ADD and ADHD. So it affects the cognitive functions, and that's another reason why we have so much in Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, dementia. It's not the only reason, because heavy metals play a big part of that. But it's one of the reasons. I'm just giving you a quick overview. It induces inflammation. Anything that is a metabolic modifier will induce inflammation. And I was really big on educating on this when I was president of the Fibromyalgia International Association, because they all thought they were doing the right thing. They're hurting. They're literally, in agony, popping pills during our conventions and our meetings. And yet they're taking a synthetic sweetener, for instance, or they're eating something that says no sugar added, and they're not taught to read the labels. Then they cause generalized multiple allergic responses. That is more than just an allergic reaction that your pulse goes up. That can be a rash. It can be welts. It can be an allergic response where everything in your body hurts, and all of a sudden getting out of the car, you feel like you're 100 years old. Because what does it do? It causes the inflammation, which the people with all of the inflammatory disorders know about. But maybe you don't have fibromyalgia or arthritis, and all of a sudden you've eaten something and you're having trouble getting out of the car. Your hips are hurting. Your legs are not as strong as they were. You're walking and all of a sudden you don't feel well. That's what chemicals do to you. And the last thing to summarize is most headaches, especially migraines, are induced by chemicals, and induced, which I should have put on here, induced by dehydration and by not having good elimination in your bowels. Because if toxic matter sits in your colon, you're recirculating all of the toxins back through your body. Just ask anybody that's had professional colon hydrotherapy, and when you see what comes out of your body in one colon therapy session, you can have up to 20 to 30 bowel movements worth of matter that's coming out of your body, even if you weigh 100 pounds, because it stores in fat and soft and connective tissue. So it's important that we understand that it's not just, oh, I'm going to avoid nightshades and I'm going to avoid MSG. No, the sweeteners are a big part of it. And what happens is, look at this carefully. Everything we go through, like my grandmother was told by her doctor, use the saccharin, put it on your kitchen table, because this is the best thing since sliced bread. It all passes through 3 stages. When people were saying, no, that's synthetic, it's not good, then first something is ridiculed, much like, naturopathic physicians, homeopaths, chiropractors, doctors of osteopathic medicine. At first, everything is ridiculed. Secondly, then it's violently opposed. Oh, they're a bunch of quacks. Remember how, for those of you my age, remember how chiropractors were actually put in jail at one time in the early 1900s as quacks. And we have a couple of people that I know of in our members that were chiropractors. They probably remember that in their history. And then third, it's like, oh, well, yeah, we knew all along that was okay, and the other stuff was toxic.
We've
So
been
this is a
lately, right? The truth is coming out.
yes,
A lot of
yeah,
stuff.
that's disclosure, isn't it, babe? Yeah, it's disclosure. It's what's coming out. So when people said, let's use the vax as an example, just as an example. I'm not,
Code words.
speaking for it or against it.
Yeah.
But everything was ridiculed. Then it was opposed, and now it's like, wait a minute, we were ridiculed for not getting vaccinated, the people that did not get vaccinated. Then everything was opposed, and now it's like, well, yeah, it was toxic, and now the chemical companies are admitting it under the legal guises now that they have to. So that's why it's important to remember that. Don't always just take things like, oh yeah, they say this is good. So what are the sources of metabolic modifiers? Okay, they are disruptors, remember, of the entire biological system, and they're neurotoxins. So here's the heavy metals. Where do you get them? Polluted fish. And I'll give you another reminder or example about that. In vaccines of any kind, dental work that has heavy metals, especially mercury and aluminum, and any kind of an alloy that they use in your mouth. And remember, I was in dentistry 11 years, and I wish to God I had not done some of the things to my mouth that I did then, but we didn't know any better. And then the lining of cans. So one question that's really important to explain here that I get very often is, but I buy organic, vegetables, for instance, somebody that maybe doesn't have a big freezer like me right now. Is that dangerous? If it's organic, it's not dangerous. If you buy organic sweet peas, organic corn, organic green beans, that means that the lining of the can is not toxic. It's not aluminum or other metals leaching into the food. It has to be lined. If you look at the inside, you'll see that it's got a different color. It's got a different lining. And that's because in order for it to be organic, it has to also be in an organic container if it's a can. Okay. Now the polluted fish, this is again, not giving you any kind of, medical advice. It's sharing what I know works. And it's a supplement. If you eat in areas, you eat a lot of fish, or you're eating in areas, especially where you're not quite sure if the fish really has heavy metals, for instance, like if you're in the tropics or you're in the Caribbean or you're in Asia, carry some selenium tablets with you. Buy them at the health food store. The cheapest ones available are fine, because selenium is controlled by the FDA now. So it has to be regulated. So like when you buy potassium now, it has to be 99 milligrams. Same thing with the regulations for selenium, because selenium, if you take it with your meal, acts as a magnet and helps it bind to the toxic metal, and you'll eliminate it through the bowel. It won't have time to sit in your body and absorb and set up housekeeping in your soft tissue or your muscles or your brain or somewhere else. The artificial or synthetic chemicals in plastics, in pesticides, in solvents, growth hormones. I don't have to read all of them because you'll have these notes, but I want to go through the ones that I'm the most careful about, and the most that I think that you need to know the most. Environmental pollution is something we don't have a lot of control over. As I mentioned, I think on several of our calls and on our general calls as well, I call this dirty air right now in Texas. It's so dirty and it's so humid and it's so thick. I feel like I could cut it with a knife. It's dirty air. There's something in the air. My car is under a carport and it's filthy. If you go like that, you can see that it's not normal dirt. It's like a grayish brown. I'm not anywhere by fields or farms or anything that it could blow in. You don't have control over that, but you do have control over irrigating your nose. Just use plain old saline solution or some kind of a wash or a neti pot so that you can clean out your sinuses after you've been out, so that you don't end up with some of these metabolic, disruptions that can be caused just by going outside. The next slide, please. The rest of it is for your notes. We already talked about packaging materials leaching into foods.
One thing I want to mention is you talk about plastic. So even if it says BPA free, be careful, because when they took out BPA, they replaced it with BPS, which is even more toxic than BPA. And also
Yes.
get this in, they're called
Heat.
phytoestrogens, and you get them in so many other ways, but we'll cover that because this is about food. So we'll talk about that.
Right. Okay, but Tracy, to your point, it's a very valid point. BPA free is okay, but not for hot food. Don't get sidetracked thinking that it's BPA free. You can put your leftovers in, which I do. I have some plastic containers and some glass, or I'll use canning jars. But if it's hot food, it still can have some kind of an effect on the food. Make sure your food is room temperature before you put it into a plastic container, then refrigerate it or freeze it. Don't put it in hot. That's why, for instance, even some of the paper cups, like I'll use Starbucks as an example because it's already been, broadcast in news media, that their cups are paper, and people thought they were safer than styrofoam, because styrofoam is very toxic, but it's coated now with stuff so that it doesn't get hot. So even those type of cups have just because they're paper doesn't mean they're healthy. Okay, they've got a coating on them, so be aware of that. Now, different synthetic chemicals, first they appear to damage the appetite. That's that switch that now nutritionists and integrative medical doctors are talking so much about, so that we eat more than we generally need or that we really want. That switch is what artificial sweeteners trigger. So when you have, let's say you have Sweet and Low, I'm using that just as an example, and you're putting it on everything, but you're actually eating more, you're hungrier. They also put that into the pastries and some of the protein bars and all of that, because you think you're doing the right thing, but you're really getting hungrier, maybe not for that, but for other things, because that's what it's supposed to be doing. That's their bottom line. Second, the chemicals, the synthetic chemicals, reduce the amount of food our body needs because it damages the ability to burn it off. So somebody like Tracy, who's a great athlete, can eat and not gain weight because she's on a routine, she's on a lifestyle that every day she's burning up her calories. Every day she's doing something healthy for her body. But in most people that are not athletes, that are not on a routine like she is, the amount of food that our body needs is not burned off. The body uses the food and it should burn it off, but it doesn't because all of these chemicals cause that internal inflammation, changes the metabolic processes of how our body operates. And so all of that extra stuff stays in the fat tissues, the soft and connective tissue. I'll remind you about the fat in a minute. Then they reduce, then the third, and probably the most important, and I don't think I can even see the bottom of the slide there, these chemicals function by seemingly, can you roll it up or I can take mine up? Let me get to mine on my small screen and then I can tell you what that is because I can't see it.
I'll read it. Says that these
Can you read it?
chemicals function by seemingly preventing the body from burning up existing fat stores.
Okay, so that's the soft and connective tissue that gets inflamed and then the chemicals store in the fat. Okay, let's go to the next one. I want to get to some of the other things before another 10 minutes and then, okay, so the effects and how it acts to damage the metabolic system is thyroid is one of the first. Hormones, as Tracy mentioned briefly, even though this presentation is not about that, this is what the presentation is about what it damages, what chemicals are, what are they doing, where are they affecting our body? And a toxic lymph system, you've all heard me talk on and on about how important our lymphatic system is. Well, it overburdens that as well. So the soft and connective tissue, it damages the intestinal lining. That's how a lot of leaky gut occurs because of the permeability. Now remember, leaky gut means that it's permeable. The lining is permeable. It's not like there's a hole in your colon. I know because I had leaky gut. It's that it becomes like cheesecloth, and all those toxins that should stay within the colon and then be eliminated are now seeping slowly into your bloodstream, which means it overloads the organs of detox, which is mainly your liver in this case. So they also cause damage to our brain, as we talked about. Here we go. Excitotoxins, look at that. We've already talked about that, but I wanted you to have a list. We can go to the next one, Tracy. Okay, this is where the fun starts, I think. Look at those cute labels. The Japanese are really clever. And these are the labels that they created for some of their food to make it interesting so that people would look at it so that when they're educated about what to look at, they know that it's all about where the number starts. These are barcodes. And what do? They literally identify where the product was made, the country of origin. So look at this. Now, most of these are because of China, but look at the made in USA and Canada. It starts with 00 and then 09, you know where it's made. If you're avoiding anything made, for instance, in China, you better avoid anything that starts with 690. This would be a good thing for you to just maybe make a copy of that page and print it and reduce it and put it in your wallet because it's very important. It's not enough to pick up something and it says USA. I picked up something the other day and it led you to believe it was made in the USA. It was made in China. It was packaged in the USA. But the barcode has to tell you exactly where it was made, the country of origin. So, but isn't that clever? Look at how they've made cute. There you go. The clever. I think it's adorable what they did. But what their purpose was, and I actually was on the delegation with one of the Japanese doctors when we were teaching in China, and he's the one that shared these with me. And he said, we did it because if it was cute, people would look at it. Now we're on to the labels of vegetables and fruits. I don't know how many of you know this, but you need to make a copy of this and carry it. Okay? Remember that sticker, literally, in my opinion, can save your health. Because if it's made in the USA, it's what? 4 digits. You see it? It starts, look at that. If you see a 5-digit number that begins with an 8, don't buy it. it's genetically modified. So it may say natural, blah, 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 no, non-GMO, okay? But if it's got that label, if it's got that number, it is genetically modified. By law, it has to be there. But the marketing on the packaging doesn't necessarily mean that it's the right thing, that it's a thing that it should be. If it's a 4-digit number, like 3151, it's conventionally grown. Doesn't mean it was modified. It doesn't mean that it's organic. It just means it was grown naturally. Like, for instance, if you were to go to the farmer's market, they don't have to put these labels, but that would be conventionally grown, just grown naturally in your backyard or in some farmer's field that is, well, I shouldn't say farmer's field because they might have used pesticides, but conventionally grown just means it's not genetically modified and it's not organic. If it begins with a 9, it's organically grown. I always watch when I pick out my vegetables and fruit. I eat very little fruit, but the fruit that I do eat, that it has a 9. I don't care what the other labeling and marketing says. So most processed foods and drinks contain GMO unless they are labeled organic. So buy from local farmers whenever you can. Grow your own, obviously, when you can. And avoid processed foods at all expense unless absolutely the only ingredient. Make sure you read every ingredient and that every item is identified separately. Not a catch-all. We've talked about this with nightshades and MSG too. Not a catch-all that says spices or seasonings. If it says spices and then in parentheses, it's got paprika and rosemary and thyme and lemon juice, whatever, they're not hiding anything. If it's a genetic catch-all and it's not being identified, they're hiding something. Okay, the next one. Now, what really happens? This is a nerve ending. This is a nerve ending that I used a lot in my PowerPoints when I was teaching for the fibromyalgia group, because people don't understand how many we have in our body, and that's exactly what's happening. It's like you lit a match to the end of a pipe cleaner. That's the example I used to use in lectures. And so that includes everything: gout, gum diseases, digestive disorders. We are seeing more digestive.
Whoops.
What?
This is the last one, right?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I want to talk to them about some things that just came up so that we have plenty of time. I timed it pretty good. Okay, so did any of you know about the barcodes? Did you know how to read the barcodes and what they meant? You did? Okay, nobody else? And there's another little card that I have done that I will have modified for you that is card size that you can print and carry in your wallet. It's the size of the MSG cards MSG card. Like these, they were little cards that I used to give all my patients when I had the clinics. And they used to carry them around, the one for the nightshades and the one for the MSGs. There is also one for reading labels, and I will get that to you, Tracy, so that when we have a minute on our, since we have nothing else to do, when we have a moment that we can get that modified for our members, then they can have that as a cheat sheet, because it shows all the little labels and it reminds you what the codes mean, okay? And 2 more things, and then I want to start taking some questions and comments. There is something new that is very concerning to me, and it should be to you. Do any of you know, don't look it up, don't cheat, do any of you know what the study of entomology is? Entomology? Don't look it up.
I'm
Linda,
looking.
do you know? You're shaking. Yeah, don't look it up. Deborah, do you know? Go ahead. Unmute.
Isn't it bugs?
Yes, it's bugs, it's insects. Ento, okay, E-N-T-O. There is a new product out originally made by a company in South Africa, and the company is called Gourmet Grub, G-R-U-B-B. It's a South African company. Now their products are all over the place in the US. And now they came out, listen to this. If I'm going to have a treat and cheat, it's going to be good ice cream. I buy the best I can get. And H-E-B in Texas has some made for them that is amazing. And that's what I cheat with if I'm going to have anything. Theirs does not have that. But now Ento milk, E-N-T-O milk, you need to look for that on any product that would have milk in it. Whether it's a candy bar, whether it's a cereal that might have some dried milk in it, anything that's that, because listen to this. Ento milk, and I'm reading the actual description from the scientific paper, is made from maggot larvae of black soldier flies. And they're putting it in milk because, quote, it makes it higher in protein. And it is higher in protein. They're not fibbing, but it's bugs. Ento milk. Okay? So that is the latest thing that really disturbed me, which is what I told Tracy this morning. She goes, oh, dear God, now what? The other thing that disturbed me, and this is because I dig down the rabbit hole so much, yeah, lots of hours, but it's worth it because that's what I teach my students and my practitioners. Recently, and I don't understand why, I was telling Tracy this morning, it doesn't make sense that the FDA would pick frozen broccoli. I buy it occasionally because I can't get it or it's not nice or whatever, but I'm not buying it anymore. They picked frozen broccoli as the food that the FDA approved that can now contain, now frozen broccoli, they didn't say about fresh, can now contain up to 60 insects per half a cup. So you need to read the label. If it's something that is a word, we always say if your grandmother couldn't read it or your mother didn't know what it was, don't buy it. So if the label says, organic broccoli and salt, that's fine. But okay, here we go. Thank you, Tracy. The bugs have arrived. Read the labels. Look at this. This is one of the latest. It scared the you-know-what out of me. These are the brands that I will never, ever, ever even look at a Tyson label. I never bought Tyson anyway. But look at this. The crickets, the mealworms, and the grasshoppers that they can legally, by FDA rules, put in their food, and that's what they're doing. And these are the brands. I remember the only thing I used to buy way back when my boys were little was they loved Sara Lee cakes. And I used to buy a Sara Lee cake once in a while. I think, I think that was a carrot cake that they used to like. I've never bought any of this because I don't buy processed food. But look at the list. Tracy, is that going to be available for our members, the list, or?
Yeah, I can do that.
You can do that. Okay. So those are the type of things that now doctors like Dr. Hamilton are having to do a whole turnaround, because what they've been teaching, avoid the MSGs and avoid the sulfites and the nitrates, isn't enough. We that teach anything to do with nutrition pertaining to food and additives and ingredients have to go a step further, which is why I'm doing all of this. And I'm sure I'm going to end up having to give a course somewhere on it, because they've already asked me and I said, I'm not ready. I'm too busy right now. But we have to stay up with it. Now, God willing, once our country's head gets screwed back on straight, you know what I mean, that won't be an issue. That won't be allowed. But right now it is. And so it's not something, God willing, that you're going to have to do the rest of your life, but be aware.
So let me interject.
Because as Tracy said, yeah.
So I was talking to Gloria and we always hear that we're watching a movie, that, the White Hat's already won. We've already heard that. So I don't know if this is all this stuff. Well, it's been going on for quite some time, so I know a lot of it's true, but the latest stuff, we don't know if it's just trying to wake people up or if it's actually happening.
Right.
Bug stuff in the food, and we don't know.
But it is. It's on the label. It's on the food label.
Okay. Well, if it's on the label,
okay,
it's on the label, but
that's what I mean. It's on the label. If you look at some ice creams,
I have not
seen it's on the label.
Before. So what I'm going to ask you all to do is go and look at your labels at your store. And then if you find something in particular, please report back to us so that we can tell, because here you guys, if we tell one of you and you have 5 friends and then they have 5 friends, we can get the word out.
Right.
But we need to see stuff from our local grocery stores. Okay. So if
we do. And the other, and the other thing that they said, Tracy, was that, those, I don't buy them, but I know that a lot of people do for their children, especially grandchildren. What do you call the vanilla bars that are dipped in chocolate and they've got nuts on the outside? I know their ice cream man used to carry them all the time when my kids were. What is it?
Drumsticks.
Yeah, the drumstick type things. Okay. Those, a lot of them now have ento milk. So pay attention. I'm going to look at HEB this weekend, and I will make a note of what I find as well. But Tracy's right. We need to share what our local stores have so that we can all be aware of that. It's not enough to just say, I mean, you'd spend 10 hours trying to grocery shop. Find the things that you know are natural, that you can read all the ingredients, that you can understand what the word is, and you'll be as safe as you can be. But until our world gets right side up, we need to be aware. And this is part of what my goal is to teach all of you, because education is power and
Yeah.
health is power. You can have all the money in the world. When you don't have your health, you haven't got a thing.
Gloria, you have a lot of questions. So Marianne.
Yes, we're going.
What about xylitol? As a sweetener,
Xylitol,
it's been around a long
yeah,
time.
but xylitol can't, it's the same thing. It's not natural. It's made from sugar. But xylitol, it can cause those GI problems that Tracy and I were talking about.
I
It
thought
can
it,
cause inflammation of the gut.
So I'm
I
going to
thought
tell
it-
you a funny story, Marianne. So I was at a dental office because I used to be in sales for dental. And one of my partners was doing this big, long demo. And I was just sitting there chit-chatting with the girls. And they had all these sugar-free suckers that had xylitol. And they're like, oh, Tracy, have you tried this? You guys know me, I'm really playful. And so I was like, no, I haven't tried that flavor. And I probably ate maybe, I don't know, 6 or 7, maybe 5. I don't know. I ate a bunch of their different flavors of their sugar-free suckers, right? And they're little baby things. I'm telling you, my stomach just got so crazy. I barely made it home. So
Yep.
that's my indicator of a food that's not good. But I usually just use monk fruit. Those are my go-tos all the time. I love the
Exactly.
liquid monk fruit drops in my coffee. So
Okay, and liquid, it doesn't matter if it's liquid or powder, as Tracy said. But to answer your specific concern, I wouldn't touch xylitol. Does that answer your question?
yes.
I'm not able to give you the scientific part, but if you look it up, I mean, every patient I've had that went to xylitol or something that was a food that was sweetened with xylitol ended up with stomach aches and or GI, diarrhea, constipation, cramps. It's not worth it. And then you don't realize that it's that because you think it's healthy. Okay?
I'll go
So
with
stay away from it.
the test of my pulse. I'm so glad that you all are bringing that up again. I remember hearing about it when it first came out years and years
Yep.
ago. But
Yeah,
I
the
did,
pulse test is really good.
yeah.
Chinese medicine depends a lot on the pulse test, a lot. Yeah. Thank you for your question. Next.
you. It's Deborah.
Hi, just a couple comments.
Hi.
One is on the
Sure.
on the digit codes for produce.
Yes.
And my
Uh-huh.
understanding was if it starts with a 4, it's conventional, and if it starts with a 3, that it's a farm that's in transition going to organic.
Oh,
That's probably yeah, that's interesting. I'll look it up and let you know because that's not, that's probably newer than what I did on the PowerPoint.
And then
So we'll look that up.
the other comment I have, which I haven't done a research on yet, but I was listening to a podcast and I got the feeling that there is an issue with stevia, and I don't, and the intestinal lining, and leaky
Okay,
gut.
I've heard that too. I've heard that too. And if you go back and dig down your hole, your rabbit hole,
I'll
it's
let you know what I
because
find.
well, I'll tell you what I found is because the
great.
sugar companies are paying those people to say that because it's just like people paying people to not endorse a certain, I don't want to use names, but a certain medication that we all were told was good for COVID and all that, because it works. And if you remember, there was also a rumor somewhere that it was a birth control, that it could keep you from getting pregnant. That's a bunch of malarkey. They've used it for thousands of years in South America, and that's never come up. But we don't know who's getting paid to do what or what the situation is. Do your own research. It's very important. I did it about 2 years ago on it when one of my patients freaked out who was trying to get pregnant and thought that maybe that's why she couldn't. And shortly after, she got pregnant. It had nothing to do with it. It was her stress. But do your own research. That's why. Can you imagine the hours I spend in the last 40 years doing research? And sometimes it's not even worth doing it. If you know that it's not natural, stevia is natural, but it's got to be unprocessed, Deborah. I think that's the key. If it's processed, they've added something or done something to it. If it's a leaf that you pick out of your garden that's stevia, it's natural. There's nothing that's going to hurt you. Okay? Thank
And
you for
let
that.
me add to
Okay,
that
go ahead,
based
Tracy.
on big sugar and finances. So, the American Dietetic Association, that like we have people who are RDAs, and that is the only type of nutritional advice that your health insurance will pay for, has to be a registered dietitian. They're the only ones legally allowed to work in a physician's office. Now, I have a
Right.
good friend who was like standing all behind her RDA education and, oh, I'm an RDA. And she was up on her little pedestal. Well, then she started learning and started researching more and more and realized that the food pyramid is upside down. And when I have worked with my past clients, like I had diabetic clients, was able to get their doctor to take them off insulin because they didn't need it anymore, and told my client, don't tell the RDA that you're eating this way, because
You're right.
biggest sponsor is Coca-Cola. So that tells
Yes.
you the power behind Big Sugar and their campaigns. Okay, Christine.
Well, and I'll tell you real quick. Okay, hold on, real quick. Stevia wasn't introduced here until about 20 years ago. It was outlawed in the United States, but not in any other country in the world. Why? Because the sugar lobbyist kept it out, and then they finally let it in. So that should tell you a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, Christine?
So a weird question about the bug thing, because my dad was a Navy person who did all these things where they actually ate bugs to survive. So he
Yeah.
taught us about eating
Yeah.
bugs if we needed to survive. So bugs to me aren't a big deal, but I'm wondering, is it because of the pesticides that they get exposed to? I mean, why are you so worried about the bugs?
Because of the pesticides and because of the fact that it's chemically altered. It's not, okay, for instance, people eat snails, right? Escargot.
Mhm.
And people go, ugh, but escargot by itself is not bad. It's when they process it and put it in the type of oil or the type of vinegar or the type of, food preservatives that they put it in. So it's not just the bugs. It's the fact that also a lot of them carry diseases. Soldier flies, are you kidding me? Black soldier flies are not just maggots, larvae. They carry a lot of disease because just like, what was the other one I was going to say? Just like when you get cockroaches, now they've got cockroaches in cereals. And it says, it tells you the botanical name or the scientific name for cockroaches. Well, cockroaches in itself is probably not bad, Christine. But the point is, what have they been into? Cockroaches eat anything.
Okay.
That's
why
the concern.
thank you for clearing
Okay,
that
yeah.
up. I just wanted to make sure that it was because they're exposed.
No, that's okay. And that's a good question. But like I said before, hon, insects are high in protein. That's a true claim. But it's how are they processed? What have they eaten? What have they been fed? That's the thing that we have to be concerned about. So I myself will not put any in my body. It's not like a parasite. People think it's like a parasite. It's not. Because by the time it's ground up and all that, it is not going to be a parasite. Okay, it's not going to come back to life. But you do have the byproducts of it. Okay. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, we got to go fast, Gloria. Answer fast because we got to start the meditation. Okay, go ahead, Linda.
Okay, I was just going to be real quick about researching the ingredients on products. I don't go to the grocery store. I haven't been in a grocery store in years. I shop online, but you can find all the ingredients there. So if you want to do some heavy duty research, you can do it online at any of the grocery stores that you shop at. And that would make it a little faster. And interestingly enough, a brand new movie out called Unfrosted. It is on Netflix. And it was about the cereal wars. It was a spoof. And so many things that I grew up around at that era in the 60s were in it. But it's right on the money and what they were doing.
Right on the money. Yeah.
That's
right. And this again is not about fear, it's about education. If you know what you should and shouldn't eat, then you can make those choices. And then that gives you control over your health. Right.
Look what they did to our
Linda.
moms. Our moms were, running out and getting, I've probably had every kind of cereal there was on the market.
Oh, and they were told they could smoke. My mother smoked 4 packs a day. Besides, she was an alcoholic. But I mean, they were, there's commercials that were promoting women to smoke, that it was okay with pregnant women on posters. Yeah. Thanks, Linda. We got to go so that we're not too late here. Nancy, go ahead, hon.
Just real
You're
quick,
muted,
I have
sweetie. There.
I have a real quick comment. I went to a farm in Irvine, California, in the middle of industrial, but a natural farm where they raise organic and other stuff. And I asked about these strawberries because their regular ones are just beautiful. And then they had some that said organic, which were more expensive. They literally have a field that's organic, and then the rest of them come from where they could spray with pesticides. So
So
I
it
don't
could be
know.
airborne.
So
That's the thing that we have to be concerned. But we can only do so much. You know, if you're buying organic, you have to trust that it's organic. The main thing is wash everything really well. Wash it with what we've talked about on WoW. You know, half hydrogen peroxide, food grade, half white distilled vinegar. You know, you put in a half a cup of each and about a gallon of water in your sink. Soak them 15 minutes, rinse them real well, and you've got off whatever we can humanly get off. Okay, not what's been absorbed. I realize, like, strawberries and peaches and celery absorb a lot because they're so high in water. Okay.
how much peroxide drops, if it's 12%, do you put in the water if they're drops?
I don't put drops. I buy the peroxide and put half a cup hydrogen peroxide and half a cup white distilled vinegar in a gallon of water, roughly.
12%?
And let it soak for 15 minutes and then rinse them.
Is
No.
that 12?
Yeah, whatever the food grade is. No, it's food grade. I don't think it's 12%,
Mine's food
is
grade,
it,
but
Tracy?
said
A
12%.
half a cup of food grade hydrogen peroxide. There's different numbers. We'll get back to you on that, Nancy.
Yeah, there's different. We'll
Okay.
get back, Nancy, and let you
Because
know. But
you
it's
don't want
it's
to
equal
have-
amounts of hydrogen peroxide.
It's 35%.
Well, there's also 12% food grade. There's different types of food grade. I have like
There's
5, 6 different ones. So
Yeah, mine isn't very strong because I use it for washing produce. So, okay, we got to get going here. Thank you,
last
Nancy.
question,
We'll
Kira.
get back to you, hon.
I was just going to say earlier, well, two things. One, the bug thing doesn't settle well with me. I don't even eat shellfish because it kind of freaks me out. So I can't do the other bug stuff. But what I was going to say about aspartame, whenever it came out, I was never really a gum chewer, but every now and then, I was young. And so, but I stopped right away because I noticed that whenever I had aspartame, my brain literally shut down. I could feel it. I was fine, put gum in my mouth, whatever the aspartame, and I couldn't think. It was literally my brain stopped functioning. So I don't even remember when it came out.
It slows the function because of the oxygen as well. And then remember that the blue packet is a pesticide for ants. When I had little kitchen ants, I would put the blue packet stuff at night before I went to bed and sprinkle it on my baseboard. In the morning, the ants were all dead. So what does that tell you?
That was the 80s,
remember
right?
that? Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the 80s. Everybody started using the blue packets for ant insecticide. So it works.
Yeah, I
Thank
haven't
you
used
all
it since
for
then. Thank you.
Oh no, I haven't used anything artificial since my grandmother had her bottle of saccharin that she very proudly showed. But after that, I knew better and I didn't do it. But yes, I had saccharin a lot when I was young, but that's all we knew and all we had. So thank you all so much for your participation and your loving heart to be able to not only, as Tracy said, learn, but then share it. It's not to be stingy with. This information is to be shared. So please share it. One person tells 5 people, as Tracy mentioned, it'll keep going. It'll snowball.
Yeah.
And we've got Cynthia in the house. I just realized that.
She wants.
I came in
Hi, dear heart.
to do the meditation.
We are going to
Came in-
start that.
Oh, okay.
We have a special
Okay, we're
thing
gonna start.
here, you guys. So we're going to do the meditation in French today. So Christine had said that this meditation will open up new pathways in your brain. And because you're listening, so you're not going to understand what it says. Okay. So I am going to verbally say my intention out loud at the beginning, because we're not going to know exactly when to do it. So just make sure you do it, because you're not going to be following along with the words. So most of you, has everybody done the meditation before? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anybody who has never done the meditation that's staying? No? Okay. So that's good. So just remember to verbally state your intention and place your device on an area of your body, or if somebody else is whose your attention is about, an area of their body where they need healing, okay? Because we're not going to know during this session when we're supposed to do that. So you guys just know, so do it whenever you feel like it, sooner rather than later, all right?
And you're going to mute everybody, right?
Yeah, I'll mute everybody. So if you guys could please, Cynthia, you'll be at 100?
Yep.
Okay. Everybody else can be wherever they are normally, right? So if I'm at 50, I'll just stay there?
Yep.
Cool beans. Okie dokie. All right. So I'll go ahead and mute everybody and share the screen. Advanced share sound. Cool. I remembered this time. Whoops. Goodness gracious. Come on. Do it. Google Chrome. Share. Oh, goodness. It says to share your computer audio, please install the Zoom audio device.
I'll do it.
Okay, let me give you,
I've got it.
I just need to have you be the,
Oh, okay.
goodness gracious. Stop share. Let me make you host. Okay.
Okay. Okay, let's give it a minute here.
You have the French one?
Yes, I have French and I have Japanese. Can I see a show of hands and see how many would like French? How many would like French? How many would like Japanese? Okay, we have 2 Japanese. Okay. It's French. Sorry, Doreen. You got to take the French. How many what about, would you rather have the original meditation? Anybody? Okay, everybody's adventurous except Nancy. I appreciate that. Okay.
We love you anyway, Nancy.
Okay. All right. Here we go. So it had to download, and that's what was going on there. Okay. There we go. And I'm going to open it now. This technology is fun, isn't it? Ready to go. Let me hit the directions and okay, share sound. It pops out, doesn't it? It makes it tricky. Come on.
The bottom middle.
What? Sharon's telling me what to do. All right, let's go. Enjoy the meditation.
Bienvenue à la méditation du moment miraculeux d'aujourd'hui, présentée par QHS et Ki. Avant de commencer, prenons une minute pour comprendre le pouvoir de notre connexion collective grâce aux technologies QHS. Lorsque nous nous réunissons, nous amplifions de façon exponentielle l'effet Quantum Twine Wave, délivrant des ondes jumelles quantiques à chaque appareil et à chacun d'entre nous dans le monde entier, incluant tous les membres, même ceux qui n'ont pas d'appareil, les personnes que vous avez l'intention de soutenir et la Terre elle-même. Les méditations du moment miraculeux augmentent et amplifient l'effet de l'onde jumelle quantique pour chaque participant et avec chaque connexion supplémentaire entre QT Wave et Home Healing System. Chaque système ajouté au réseau augmente la puissante, profonde et consciente onde jumelle quantique à travers chaque membre. C'est une magnifique communication instantanée, coordonnée et collaborative avec chaque appareil présent. Aujourd'hui, nous allons vous guider dans une méditation. Il est important de noter qu'elle durera environ 20 minutes. Nous vous encourageons à rester présent et conscient tout au long de la session. Si vous avez des visions ou des émotions, c'est normal. Autorisez-vous à les ressentir et à les accueillir et restez présent. La méditation comporte plusieurs parties, chacune conçue pour vous guider vers un état plus profond de relaxation et de connexion avec votre essence divine intérieure. La première partie se concentre sur l'induction d'une relaxation profonde, vous permettant d'entrer dans un état où votre esprit et votre corps sont réceptifs à la transformation. La deuxième partie consiste à se connecter avec les ondes quantiques, les énergies christiques et l'étincelle divine en vous. Cette connexion facilite un alignement profond avec les énergies universelles, de l'amour, de la guérison et de la complétude. Dans la troisième partie de la méditation, nous approfondissons votre bien-être. Nous vous permettons de vivre pleinement et de vous souvenir de votre intégrité et de votre vitalité innée. Dans la quatrième partie, nous entrons dans un moment de silence serein. Ce silence offre une occasion de calme, d'introspection et de connexion. Cette réflexion tranquille vous permet de vous concentrer vers l'intérieur en accordant une attention particulière à vos pensées, vos sentiments ou vos idées. Nous vous encourageons également à renforcer votre lien avec les ondes quantiques jumelles pendant ce silence, en vous accordant à leur présence douce et en permettant à leurs énergies curatives de circuler librement en vous. Enfin, nous concluons la méditation en douceur, en veillant à ce que vous vous sentiez ancré, centré et rajeuni. Les ondes quantiques jumelles scannent chaque participant de la tête aux pieds, puis envoient des fréquences de guérison selon les besoins, là où c'est nécessaire, selon la demande. Dans un instant, nous vous demanderons de couper vos micros et de dire à haute voix comment vous aimeriez que les ondes quantiques vous aident, qu'il s'agisse de soutenir une partie spécifique de votre corps ou d'aider quelqu'un que vous aimez. Exprimez clairement votre intention. Une fois que vous avez exprimé votre intention, prenez votre appareil QT Wave et placez-le sur la partie de votre corps où vous voulez concentrer votre attention et manifester le changement. Si vous n'avez pas d'appareil, vous pouvez placer votre main à cet endroit. Si vous avez l'intention de soutenir quelqu'un d'autre, vous pouvez placer votre appareil ou votre main sur la partie de votre corps où cette personne a besoin de soutien. Rappelez-vous que lorsque vous vous guérissez vous-même, vous guérissez les autres. Tout au long de cette méditation, n'hésitez pas à déplacer l'appareil ou vos mains vers d'autres zones si nécessaire. Si vous avez un HHS, mettez-le sur 20 maintenant. À la fin de la séance, sachez que les effets continueront à agir. Donc si vous ressentez le besoin de vous reposer, prenez le temps de le faire. Merci de guérir ce monde magnifique en commençant par vous. Commençons par couper nos micros et énoncer nos intentions à voix haute.
State your intention now.
Installez-vous dans la position qui vous convient en ressentant le confort naturel de votre propre présence. Fermez doucement les yeux et portez votre attention vers l'intérieur. Observez le rythme naturel de votre respiration qui s'écoule vers l'intérieur et vers l'extérieur. Sentez cette respiration remplir chaque partie de votre corps, vous nourrir et vous apaiser. En expirant, laissez partir les tensions et l'inconfort. Reconnaissez que ces sensations ne sont pas vous, qu'elles sont passagères simplement. Au début de cette prise de conscience, observez-les se dissoudre dans le néant sans laisser de traces. Vous êtes illimité, libre de ces sensations et de leur définition. À chaque respiration, sentez-les se dissiper à mesure que vous devenez plus présent, plus paisible et profondément centré sur votre véritable essence. Approfondissons maintenant votre expérience avec un exercice de respiration qui enrichira votre méditation en créant une belle synergie entre votre monde intérieur et votre monde extérieur. Concentrez-vous sur le doux son de votre respiration à l'arrière de votre nez qui rappelle le murmure des vagues de l'océan. le son audible de votre respiration, comme les vagues de l'océan, vous ancre dans le présent, reliant l'immensité du monde extérieur aux profondeurs de votre être intérieur. Il établit automatiquement l'harmonie et la cohérence entre votre corps, votre esprit, votre cerveau, votre cœur et tous vos systèmes énergétiques et spirituels. Il n'y a rien d'autre à faire que d'être dans ce moment, profondément détendu, pleinement soutenu et en paix. Identifiez la partie de votre corps qui se sent la plus détendue en ce moment. Cette partie peut être aussi petite que le bout d'un doigt ou aussi grande que l'ensemble de votre dos. Concentrez votre attention sur cette partie. Observez la sensation de détente, la profondeur et la sérénité qui s'en dégagent. Imaginez que cette sensation commence à s'étendre, comme de l'aquarelle sur du papier mouillé. Laissez cette sensation de détente s'étendre. À chaque respiration, cette sensation apaisante grandit. Elle vous remplit. Respirez profondément de façon rythmée et à plein poumon. Imaginez que la détente s'étend de plus en plus loin. Remarquez que ce n'est plus seulement une partie de vous qui est détendue. Votre être tout entier se sent enveloppé par cette énergie apaisante. Tout en continuant à respirer profondément, imaginez que les vagues de relaxation se répandent en cascade sur votre corps et le purifient. L'univers est au-dessus de vous, vous apportant un calme plus profond et une paix plus grande. Ces vagues sont rythmées, alignées sur votre respiration. Elles vous traversent, vous entourent. Sentez-vous porté par ces vagues de relaxation de plus en plus profondément dans un état de sérénité totale. Ici, dans cet espace, vous êtes libre d'explorer les profondeurs de votre monde intérieur et de plonger dans le vaste océan que vous êtes. Maintenant, accordons-nous à la fréquence des ondes jumelles quantiques. Prenons une respiration profonde et complète en nous immergeant totalement dans la présence des ondes jumelles qui nous entourent. Sentez ces ondes vous embrasser, vous infuser et vous offrir leur doux soutien. Tout en inspirant profondément, visualisez les ondes parcourir votre corps du sommet de votre tête jusqu'à vos orteils. Sentez les ondes couler à travers vous, favorisant une connexion et une résonance profonde avec votre plénitude parfaite. À chaque expiration, relâchez toute tension ou résistance. Permettez aux ondes quantiques d'infuser tous les aspects de votre corps. Remarquez les sensations lorsque ces ondes interagissent avec vos cellules, les remplissant de lumière rayonnante et d'énergie revitalisante. Faites l'expérience de la chaleur et de la vitalité de cette présence divine alors qu'elle se répand dans votre corps et vos systèmes énergétiques. Reconnaissez la présence de la conscience christique, l'énergie sacrée qui incarne l'amour inconditionnel, la compassion et la guérison au sein de ces ondes. Sentez cette énergie divine imprégner chaque aspect de votre être, éclairer votre chemin et vous guider vers la plénitude. En inspirant, imaginez que vos cellules s'éveillent à l'énergie de guérison des ondes quantiques et de la conscience christique. Sentez un alignement harmonieux se répandre dans tout votre corps, alors que chaque cellule vibre en accord avec les vagues de plénitude et d'amour inconditionnel. Abandonnez-vous au processus d'intégration. Faites confiance aux ondes quantiques et à la conscience éveillée. Sachez intuitivement où elles sont nécessaires. Soyez témoin du sentiment profond de paix et de détente qui accompagne cet abandon à l'énergie divine. Maintenant, déplacez votre conscience vers l'intérieur, vers l'étincelle divine qui réside en vous. Cette essence sacrée est votre connexion éternelle à la source de la création, vous rappelant votre divinité inhérente et votre caractère sacré. Sentez l'étincelle divine s'allumer en vous, vous remplissant du sens profond, de la puissance de votre raison d'être. Soyez témoin de son rayonnement dans tout votre corps, illuminant chaque cellule de sa lumière. Sentez les ondes quantiques s'harmoniser avec votre étincelle divine et l'énergie christique, amplifiant leur pouvoir et leur puissance. À chaque respiration, ces énergies divines se mêlent et fusionnent en vous, créant une symphonie d'amour et de lumière qui résonne dans tout votre être. Tout en continuant à respirer et à visualiser, abandonnez-vous à la profonde transformation qui s'opère en vous. Faites confiance à la sagesse et à la guidance de ces énergies divines, sachant qu'elles vous mènent vers une connexion plus profonde avec votre moi sacré. Laissez cette intégration vous remplir de paix, de force et de guérison, alors que nous passons à notre méditation, guidée par la lumière rayonnante de l'énergie christique, la présence inébranlable de votre étincelle divine et la puissante étreinte des ondes jumelles quantiques. Maintenant, détendez-vous et profitez de ce moment miraculeux. Bienvenue dans votre moment miraculeux. Conçu pour puiser dans la source de bien-être qui réside en vous, ce voyage commence par la compréhension du lien qui nous unit et que le chemin de la guérison collective commence au cœur de notre être individuel. En cultivant l'amour en nous, nous constatons que l'amour s'étend naturellement vers l'extérieur. En nous soignant nous-mêmes, nous posons les bases qui nous permettront de contribuer à la guérison des autres. Chaque acte de soin de soi est un tremplin vers une humanité plus saine, où la guérison de soi devient le catalyseur de la guérison du monde qui nous entoure. Commençons ce processus de transformation et embrassons la plénitude qui est notre vraie nature. Pour commencer, concentrez votre attention vers l'intérieur et balayez doucement votre corps du regard. Remarquez les sensations ressenties dans les différentes parties de votre corps. Tout en poursuivant cette douce observation, cherchez en vous un endroit où vous ressentez un sentiment de bien-être, de plénitude ou de joie. Il peut s'agir d'une sensation de chaleur dans le cœur, d'une légèreté dans la poitrine ou d'un espace calme dans l'esprit. Si vous sentez qu'un espace de bien-être n'est pas immédiatement apparent dans votre corps, permettez-vous d'élargir doucement votre recherche. Il pourrait se révéler dans un souvenir cher, une vision pleine d'espoir de l'avenir, ou dans les profondeurs tranquilles de votre esprit ou de votre âme. Votre bien-être existe en vous sous de nombreuses formes et dans de nombreux endroits. Et il attend votre reconnaissance. Une fois que vous avez trouvé ce point de bien-être, de plénitude ou de joie, concentrez votre attention sur lui. Observez ses qualités, la façon dont vous le ressentez, les sensations qui l'accompagnent, le sentiment de plénitude qu'il vous procure. Respirez dans cet espace et à chaque respiration, imaginez que les sensations de bien-être s'intensifient et deviennent plus vives, qu'elles se manifestent par une chaleur, un sentiment de plénitude ou une lueur intérieure. Maintenant, avec l'intention, commencez à permettre à cette sensation de bien-être de s'étendre, comme la chaleur du soleil qui se répand à l'aube. Laissez-la se déplacer gracieusement dans votre corps. À chaque respiration, elle grandit, vous remplissant de la tête aux pieds, atteignant chaque cellule, chaque espace à l'intérieur de vous. Visualisez ce bien-être, cette plénitude et cette joie se déplaçant au-delà du physique. Voyez-les s'étendre à vos systèmes énergétiques, les illuminant de leur santé. Ils apportent l'équilibre à vos émotions, la clarté à vos pensées et un profond sentiment de paix à votre esprit. Alors que vous continuez à respirer, un sentiment de bien-être complet englobe tout votre être. Vous êtes en harmonie avec vous-même, corps, esprit et âme. Dans cet espace, vous comprenez que le bien-être, la plénitude et la joie sont au cœur de votre état naturel, une partie essentielle de qui vous êtes. Vous ressentez cette plénitude comme une présence stable et inébranlable en vous. Elle est toujours là, toujours accessible. Chaque fois que vous souhaitez vous reconnecter à ce sentiment, il vous suffit de vous tourner vers l'intérieur. Pendant environ 5 minutes, cette pause et cette guidance vous invitent à vous engager personnellement avec les ondes jumelles quantiques, à approfondir votre connexion et à améliorer votre expérience au maximum de son potentiel. Quand vous vous sentez prêt, ramenez doucement votre conscience au moment présent. Prenez quelques respirations profondes et lorsque vous ouvrirez les yeux, emportez avec vous ce sentiment de bien-être et de plénitude. Laissez-le infuser chaque instant de votre journée. En conclusion de cette méditation, avancez avec confiance en sachant que les ondes jumelles quantiques continuent de circuler en vous et que leur influence positive reste active et s'étend bien au-delà du temps que nous partageons dans cet espace. Faites ce pas et tous ceux qui suivront en sachant que vous êtes bénis.
Well, that was different.
I really enjoyed it.
You speak Spanish and French.
Well, I don't speak French fluently now, but I did as a child, so I understood a lot of it, but a
Yeah.
lot of the technical terms I didn't understand. But
I
yeah,
studied
it was
French and
very
forgot so much of
pleasant.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I spoke it. I didn't study it. I spoke it at home, but you know, when you don't speak it, that you lose it, just like when you study it. But I enjoyed it. It was different.
That was deep.
It was deep. Very deep.
Very deep. I was startled at the
Christine, was
end
it
of it,
different
like
as far
usual.
as yeah, I was too. Christine, was there something deeper in this particular French version? Because I felt it, and I don't feel the English version the same way.
So remember, each language has a different center in the brain, and different parts of the brain connect to the body. So you will have an experience where your brain can't be in the way of it. See, that's why trying each of these different language centers are going to show you something. And so for me, I got a message that I had not understood. Even though I knew it in English, when I got this message through this meditation, I got it this time. So is it okay I take a moment and share that, Cynthia?
Yeah, no, of course, yeah.
So
Go
I
ahead.
grew up with the Catholic religion saying it's better to give than receive, and I locked that one in tight. And then as I grew, I never really knew how to receive. And then when after, near death experience and all of these different things, I looked at what it was to receive, and I thought I had this under control. I thought I was really good at receiving. But the message I got today was, yes, I am open to receiving, but I am not able to give and receive at the same time. But there was a visual that went with it that, again, is with the French leading me in a different direction. The visual I saw, like I fell down and I got hurt and someone came to help me. And because I feel as a burden in that moment, because I've been told, I wasn't being responsible, I didn't tie my shoe and I tripped, I wasn't able to give the space to the other person so that I could fully receive their gift. So my gift to them is that I need their support, and their gift to me is to give the support. I don't know how I missed it that way, but I got it this time. So I can be joyful when I am in need versus feeling that I've got an issue. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. I wonder if I mean, what you're saying makes so much sense, but I never thought about it because French and Spanish were the languages I grew up with.
Mm-hmm.
And then French was taken out of our lives. I wonder if that's why. I mean, I felt the tingling, I felt everything everybody's been saying, but I don't feel it with the English. So maybe I should listen to the Spanish one. Is that and see if maybe that's bringing something else back for me to bring up to to deal with.
Yeah.
You have a Spanish one already?
We're working on it.
Yeah.
We have 5 others that we're still working on. It just takes a bit because, as you saw, she has to sync everything.
Oh yeah.
Given to her in sections, and then she has to organize them in the correct order. And she doesn't speak all the languages, and she's had to have them checked and have things that removed that they put in that didn't belong in. So it's a process, but Spanish is in process.
It's a process. Well, kudos, because I felt it and I don't feel it that way in the English one. So thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That was great.
Does anybody
else?
Share? No, not today.
Well, I'll give one more thing
No.
then.
No.
My breath was able to go deeper with this one. I thought that was really interesting. My breath was smoother and deeper. But I've had a connection to French my whole life, even though I don't speak it fluently.
Okay.
Girl?
I don't speak French, but I could really follow it because of the rhythm. I felt like the sections really translated to the English version, but I really tried to use it as an opportunity to try and practice the belly breathing, which has been challenging, to keep up with trying to hold or suspend for longer and utilizing those belly muscles instead of just the automatic in your lungs, which I find very relaxing, that kind of breathing. But the other is almost, like I said, it took effort, but I really did enjoy it.
Thank you. Linda?
Funny that Cheryl mentioned the belly breathing because I had my unit on my belly button during the meditation, which was very soothing. I don't speak any French. I look forward to listening to all of the different languages and see what difference I react. At the very end of this meditation, I saw my head throw back, all the way back, and my mouth open. I don't know what was coming out. It wasn't words. I didn't focus on that because it was pretty much over, but it wasn't words. But it was a very unusual visual. That's all I can say.
Nice. I like that you guys are seeing things during the meditation. I honestly hate to say it, but I think I probably fell asleep. So I went that deep. Kira.
Wow.
Linda, have you seen The Fifth Element? The movie?
Yes, probably many times.
Remember when she threw her head back and it was all light that came out of her mouth, all the way up to the reaching wherever as high as it
Yes.
it was all light.
Yeah. I'll have to
Well,
experience
that's interesting.
this again.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't
Favorite
words.
movie.
It was not words.
Yeah.
It wasn't words, huh?
That's cool.
Good.
So it was
Wow, that was quite an experience. Thanks again, Christine. It was great. I'm anxious to listen to the Spanish one as well.
all right. Shall we
I have a
close?
question. Are you doing anything in Arabic? Do you have anybody that's translating in Arabic?
No, not at this time.
No?
We don't really have Arabic speaking members.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
Maybe one. And his wife. That's two. That I know of.
That's two. Okay.
And they speak English.
Yeah. Thanks again, Christine. That was great. To
Yeah,
you and to everybody that's worked on it, because I know it's a lot of work. Thanks again.
So should we close in our normal fashion?
Okay.
Anjali Mudra to your
Yes.
head. May you think only joyful thoughts to your lips. May you speak only kind words and to your heart. May you show love to yourself and to all around you. Peace, peace, peace. Namaste.
Peace. Peace.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, beautiful
guys.
ones.
Thank you, everybody.
Awesome.
Dr.
Thank you,
Gloria,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank
That
you.
was
Thank you.
great.
Thank you.
all.
Valerie, Linda,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye,
Thank
y'all.
you.
Okay, you
Everybody.
Bye,
Thank you for
everybody.
participating.
Bye.
Bye.